let's get to the advisory now. How can we raise money smart kids? Betsy Westcott from Inner Money Journey joining me now. And Betsy, there's some new research showing that Aussie families are still reluctant to talk about money at home. Why is that a problem?
I think a lot of parents worry that they're going to say the wrong thing, that their knowledge isn't as sharp as they'd like it to be, or even just that age-old kind of view that it's not polite to talk about money. But the problem is that when we stay silent, our children suffer because they're not getting those really robust financial skills that's going to enable them to navigate life. And we can't leave it up to schools or influencers or things like that. We've really got to take control of this. The good news is that it doesn't have to be this big sit down formal education night with the kids. Really, it's about role modeling. So, you're planning a holiday. Talk to the kids about the choices you make and how you're funding it and the trade-offs. Are you saving for something special? Or even just, making the grocery list is an opportunity to teach them. And the thing about kids is they really learn so much more from what we do than what we say. So it's about role modeling those good behaviours as much as you can to impart those knowledge.
Yeah, I remember my parents used to make me do chores, and then, I had to get a job at McDonald's to learn the value of $1. So how do you raise financially confident kids?
Yeah, so there's lots of opportunities across their life, and it's about layering the lessons and complexity as they get older. So at that 3 to 5 stage, you can really start teaching them about money, that, money is used to buy things. Not all things can be bought. Recently, my 3.5-year-old went to the shop and used some coins to pay for his yogurt pouch, which was very cute. He was a bit upset that the lady didn't give the money back, so we had a few lessons to learn there. And then from 6 to 9, this is a great one to introduce those chores like your parents did, and using tools like Spriggy to introduce digital currency and coins, because often, money's not really visible these days. And with those chores, it's, you've earned some money, are you going to spend some, save some, potentially give some? As they're getting into primary school and a little bit more senior, then it's really introducing things like budgeting and trade-offs. So they might be able to help you make a purchase decision and compare prices of 2 different items. But really trying to teach them delayed gratification and how do you save for those special items. Then when they're getting into high school, 13 to 15, that's when they're starting to get their first job. And you really want to teach them about setting up their bank accounts and also what to do with the money. So yes, you can spend it all. Saving's a great idea. Investing is even better. And there's so many great investing apps that are available to kids that allow you to invest small amounts and really build that muscle on how compound interest works and how to grow wealth. Then when they're in late teens and entering the university or the workforce, it's about creating that financial independence. So understanding what their pay slip is, things like tax and superannuation, some of the common pitfalls around their budgeting or borrowing money and the effect of different types of debt. They're all those ways that you can educate your kids with that layered complexity as life goes on, but there's so many opportunities.
Now, you say setting them up for adulthood, but data shows about 50% of those aged between 18 to 29 still live at home. We know the cost of living pressures. We know it's really hard to get into the property market. But is that sort of carrying the children? Is that teaching them about financial independence? What do parents teach children in those young adult years?
Yeah, and it's really important that you use that as an opportunity to teach them and equip them with those skills so that when they do eventually leave the home, they're not having a financial shock. And I know we love our kids and we want to, smooth the path for them, but if you do that too much, you're actually disabling them and not appropriately equipping them. So when they're living at home, encourage them to get a job. Charge them board. It doesn't have to be market rate, and maybe at the end of the day you give that money back to them, but it teaches them that life is expensive, it costs money. Help them establish financial goals and work their way there. All those basic things, managing bills, contributing to groceries, chipping in around the house. You want to equip your kids to be successful in life, and these are really essential skills to pass on.
And of course, we know that a lot of parents want to invest for their children as well. What are the pathways and what sort of impact can this have?
Yeah, and this is such a noble thing to do. And of course, time is on your side. We know that that's really the thing that is the biggest opportunity around wealth, getting started early and doing it consistently. So for kids, first of all, you've got to work out what's the structure going to be, because that will determine tax, capital gains tax and control. So maybe it's in the parent's name. If it's in the parent's name, you've got great control. It's going to be charged at your marginal tax rate. You may have to pay capital gains tax when you transfer the ownership. You could put it in the kid's name. That avoids capital gains, but they will be charged at the highest marginal tax rate, so taking that into account is important. You've also got family trust that you could use that has a lot of flexibility and control as well. You can determine where to attribute the earnings, but they're costly to set up, so make sure that makes sense from an overall wealth perspective to do that. You've also got investment bonds, so picking the structure is really important. Then it's about picking the investment. So if it's something short term, you're probably looking at a high interest savings account, but if it's something long term over a number of years, then you'd want to be looking at something that's got that great growth potential. So direct shares, ETFs, managed funds are a great option, and it's about doing it consistently. And a really simple example of investing $6 a day for your child until they're age 18, if it earned the average long-term market return of about 9.8%, they'd have about $107,000 when they turn 18, which is a great head start for uni fees or a home deposit or a first car. Interestingly, if they just left that and didn't spend it when they turned 18 until they were 65, they'd have about $8.5 million without you adding another cent. Now, keeping in mind inflation will kick in, and a latte is probably going to cost $50 by then, but still such a great nest egg for very little effort.